good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for joining in. It's another Friday, a wonderful day. My name is Ehinor. I'm your host for today's show. This is Wonderfully Made Woman Talk Show on wmtv. Wonderfully Made Woman Talk Show is on every Friday at 11 a.m. on Facebook and recorded on YouTube channel as well. Wonderfully Made Woman Talk Show is a reality show where we bring topics that people would normally not want to talk about, and we've been doing that for over 2 years. It's a show that aims to address issues relating to women and girls in a holistic context. So if you're a man watching, don't go away, because I'm sure you have someone who is related to you, who is a woman. I'm also sure that you were born of a woman. So if you were born of a woman, you have a mother, you have a sister, you have a wife, you have friends who are female, then this show is certainly for you. I remain your host, Ehinor. Today is a wonderful day. I'm down with hay fever. But I said, no, I'm not going to cancel this show because it's a topic that people are so much interested in, and is a topic where people really do not want to talk about, and we've taken our time to discuss this issue. Last week, we started a series, Reality Check of Adult Life series. Do you remember we talked about if I'm in a relationship with myself? And I asked a question, what if you believe you're in a relationship and you're not? How do you find out if you are in a relationship with yourself? If you did not watch last week's show, please do catch up on our YouTube channel, Wonderfully Made Woman. And you can also find the video on Wonderfully Made Woman Facebook page. Today, we are continuing on what we talked about last week, and we stopped at if you are in a relationship and the relationship has broken down and there are children involved, what do you do? What are the first steps that you need to take? It's easy for someone who's got no kids to just walk away, but when there are kids involved in a relationship, what do you really do? I have a wonderfully made woman on the show with me today. She's been on the show before. I'm sure those of you who actually watch us regularly would have seen her face before. She's my colleague in this business, so to say. A woman I respect so much, a woman who is bold, confident enough to share her experiences to help other women who are going through the same issues. So today with me on the show is the founder of Devote. Welcome so much to Wonderfully Made Woman Talk Show. I'll leave you to introduce yourself to the audience and also tell them what you do.
Yeah, I'm Debbie Coates, and I'm the founder of Devote, which is just birthing at the moment. It's going to be setting up survivor groups for women who have survived domestic violence. It's going to aim to achieve to grow people's self-esteem and confidence, who have been there and who've had trauma before from the relationship, and who are still probably suffering within that relationship too. We offer that support to everybody. The aim of Devote is to help them people, and also to I really want to aim to build a refuge eventually for in a compassionate environment rather than the environments that Refuge offer now.
Wow. Well done. You're doing marvelous things. And you also do speak at community events, don't you?
Yeah, I am doing at the moment, yeah. I did my live talk a few weeks ago at a church, and a lot of interest was shown. And also I'm doing a conference next week in Burnley.
Wow.
So I'm getting around a bit now.
Well done. That's good. So make sure you stay tuned, because she'll be sharing her personal experience. 2 days or 3 days ago, I put a post on Facebook and I asked a question. Thank you so much for everyone who took our time to actually comment on that post, because it gave me a lot of information and people sharing their different views. So thank you so much. And I said, who should look after the kids after a relationship breaks down? Who should look after the children after a relationship breakdown? Mercy Makinde said, whichever of the parents, after considering the best interest of the child. It's not about the parents but the child. Where will the child be safer and well provided for? Layo Remy Olowu, thank you. You said a responsible and capable parent should have the child. So many comments. I'm just trying to read a different one. Edna says, anyone who is responsible and capable enough, be it male or female. Mandy Ladeji says, both parents should look after the kids. Maria Joseph says, both parents should because one parent caring for the children is hard work. Which other? Let me just read one more. It's Kewa says, every case on its own merits, so no one size fits all. Generally speaking, I believe children should stick together and not be divided. Who should have them depends on each case. Even when one has custody, the other one should have access to them. So if you're watching, when there's a relationship breakdown and this woman wants to move on and there are children involved, who should look after the children, and how does this woman move on when kids are involved? Because most times when we speak to women in our support group, the reason they stay in relationship, abusive relationship, is because there are kids involved. And oftentimes we hear when they say, oh, I would have left, but because of my children, I cannot leave. So when a relationship breaks down and there are kids involved, Debbie, what do you say about that? What are the effects of relationship breakdown when children are involved in a relationship?
Well, from my point of view and my story, I've been estranged now from my son since the last time I saw him was 2016. He's not lived with me since 2015. His dad was charged and sentenced with domestic violence, and there was a restraining order in place that the police put on for my behalf for 3 years, and my son still resides with his dad now.
Even when he was sentenced?
Even when he was sentenced.
So what was the reason why?
The social services won't get involved. I was in the refuge and 9 times. The social services in Trafford were informed and they just wouldn't take on the case. They said due to the fact that my son was 12 years old, he had his own voice and he had his own opinion, not knowing that basically this child was being poisoned in the mind by his dad. And in a way, and in fact, that's emotional abuse. Any parent that commits that to a child, regardless whether you're male or female, and you start poisoning them against the other parent, that is an absolute no-go. That shouldn't be happening.
And it's a very bad effect because that child will eventually, you know, grow up to know the truth.
Yes.
So when there's a relationship breakdown, I honestly believe that you shouldn't criticize or lie against the other person, partner, because you want to have the kids. Oftentimes we see that happening in our community. Whether I don't know about Africa, but in the UK where we live, a lot of children are suffering, you know, they've been deprived of that parental care.
Exactly.
Because a relationship has broken down. You know, what's your say? Do you think that when a relationship breaks down, the one partner should, you know, withhold those children? Or do you honestly think that the interest of these kids, you know, should be taken to place when there is a relationship breakdown? So if you're a woman and your relationship has broken down, like we said before last week, and you're considering on moving on, the first step to take is honestly sit your children down, or your child, depending on how many you have. Tell them that your relationship has broken down. Let them know the real issue. Let them know what has happened, and also help them understand that even though your relationship has broken down, it doesn't mean that the parents do not love them. It doesn't mean that their life is going to come to an end. Help them and support them. And if you know that they need extra help, in the UK there are organizations that, you know, that you can contact. like NSPCC, the Citizens Advice Bureau, the mediation centers. You can actually go there and you sit down with your partner and arrange how your finances is going to be, who is going to have the children. In most cases, the woman always do have the kids, isn't it?
Yeah, majority,
because the
yeah.
woman is there, she doesn't want a relationship, she wants to focus on her kids. Most times the man tends to move on, you know. So, but not in all cases, like Debbie is going to, you know, share more lights to that. But what we're trying to address is when your relationship is not working, when you realize that indeed you are in a relationship with yourself, when you realize that this relationship is taking you nowhere, children should not be a barrier to your moving on. Make proper arrangements. Let the children know what's best for them. Let them know that they're not going to be deprived, you know, of the other parents' visits and care and love. That's what you need to do. And also, if you can't do it on your own, because when there's a relationship breakdown, the two people don't agree, do they?
No.
Imagine you are married or you have a partner at home. Normally you disagree. So imagine a relationship breaking down. You're never going to agree.
No.
You're never going to agree in most cases. So I would advise that you go to services like NSPCC, Citizens Advice Bureau, the mediation, or the courts. That should honestly be the last option where you have one parent who is not reasonable. Then you can also go to court to find the arrangement for your kids. But that should not stop a woman from moving on because you have kids. You should be able to move on with your life and be happy with your life as well. Then I'm going to read out just a few questions, then we can take it up from there, Debbie. Maybe you should do the answering today.
Yes.
Yes, somebody said, wonderfully made, thank you for the show you did today. So she sent it after our show last week. You should honestly go on our YouTube page to watch last week's show. She says, it was an eye-opener for me. My relationship broke down. He caused me pain. If he cannot stay in the marriage, he cannot see the kids. That is my view. So this lady, obviously, she's hurting. And most cases, we find the man moving on. And she's saying because the man hurt her, and if the man is not ready to stay in that marriage, he cannot see the kids. What's your take on that?
I think that maybe she needs to, I know she's probably full of pain and full of anger and full of bitterness and full of whatever's going on, and she obviously doesn't want to lose it. But at the end of the day, what she's got to think of is them children. And them children are going to be deprived of a parent who they love, and whatever, regardless of how she feels, and I do really feel for her, that maybe she needs to now sit back and let them children have a relationship regardless of how she feels. And I know it'd be really hard for her, but the most biggest and maturest thing she could ever do is still allow them children a relationship with their father, regardless. Yeah.
So if you're this person who actually sent this message saying if the man cannot stay in the marriage, he cannot see the kids. Debbie has said, and I'm also going to say, that your relationship has broken down, and when that happens, it should not be a reason for you to stop the kids from seeing their father. And also for women as well as a man, when a relationship breaks down, you should not use that against the woman and say, you know what, you must stay in this relationship, this marriage must work, even when things are not really working. So you don't really have that, it's not a good thing to do, because what I found out that when relationship breaks down, talking about this case, most women actually use the kids against their dad. So they withhold information, they stop the man from seeing their children, you know, because they're angry and they're bitter. Do you think that kind of woman can move on with her life?
No, because if you hold on to that anger and bitterness, that basically stops you from moving on to anything. You will carry that with you for a long time. The most healthiest thing to do is think rationally, move on, and your life will get better eventually. And that's
Move on, yeah.
move on from, yes, I've had times where it was really dark for me with anxiety and depression, but at the end of the day you move on, and when you move on you find that there's a lot more peace once your bitterness and angerness has gone. There's more peace within you, and you feel better within yourself. You have to make a new life for yourself, and sometimes that's exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and that's
in most cases it's exciting, because when you are trying to use the kids against their dad, one, you're bitter and you're transferring bitterness to your kids. Yeah. Don't forget, whatever you sow into the lives of those children, you're going to reap. So if you teach them love, they're going to grow up loving you and loving people around them. If you teach them how to hate, one day they'll come back hating you.
Yes.
And in most cases, these children might grow up to hate you for depriving them of that fatherly love that, you know, that they miss during their growing up. So as a woman, please, I'll advise you, do not use the kids against them, because you're destroying your children psychologically, emotionally, and every child honestly needs a father figure. You need a father figure, I mean a responsible father figure, so to say. So imagine two parents can hardly do it by themselves, training children and bringing them up. So imagine just you. Why would you want to do that? Yeah. When women come to me with this situation and they say, you know, I'm going to make sure if he's not staying, he's not going to see the children. And these are young women. I'm thinking, how do you move on with your life? Yeah. Why would you honestly want to take care of your children by yourself? Then when these children grow up, they go and look for the other parent. That will cause you more pain and headache. So as a woman, please, if your ex-partner, whether a man or a woman, is not violent, honestly know that your children's life are not a risk when they are with that partner, you should not deprive the children that parental love and care. Thank you so much, Pauline. Ejiro says, parents, stop being selfish. It's not about you. It's about the children. And woman, stop having children with a stranger. Know your partner before you consider having children. Thank you so much, Ejiro. Stop having children with a stranger. I don't know what that means, because most times you have children, then you realize that this man or this woman wasn't meant to be, or, you know, people tend to hide their character before, before marriage, whether we like it or not. People can honestly hide it for years. And once you get married, you find out that you're married to a beast. What do you do? But like you said, parents should stop being selfish and allow their children to be happy. Stop using your children against their father. Stop using your children against their mother. It is not right. The second person says, my dear woman, okay, my dear, talking to me now. My woman, who is now my ex, is using the kids against me. What do? I can't see them. Can I go to court, because it seems is the last option for me? So this is a man
that's seeking to find. The thing is, it is expensive, because I was told when I was trying to get visitation with my son that I'd have to go and pay for a solicitor. In the family courts this day and age, it's not easy. You've got to have money to seek a visitation to your children, which in all fairness shouldn't be happening. Wow. You shouldn't have to go and pay a court to get that person to say yes, you can see your children. Yeah. Why, can't this lady see that maybe, he could have him every other weekend, she could go out, what is the thing? They could be building a relationship with their dad. What is the thing that's stopping it? Is it because he's moved on with his life and met somebody else? Well, that person could be an added blessing. They could be another person to love your children, not to dislike your children. So at the end of the day, this is what happens when children are used as pawns and taken away. That child is emotionally abused, basically. Wow. They really are emotionally abused, and that parent should be sitting down thinking, should I be doing this? Just ask yourself that question. Even though you're full of pain and bitterness towards your ex-partner, just ask yourself that question. Should you be, look at your children, ask them, should you be doing this to them?
And also, put yourself in their situation. Imagine you want to see your dad, or you're living with your mom, you want to see your dad, or the other way around, and your parent tells you no, you can't. How would you feel? It's emotional abuse. And most times these children go to school so angry and put the anger on their classmates. Before you know, they're on the streets. Why would you want to bring your child up alone, like Debbie has just said? Let them go to their dad. As long as they're safe with their dad, let them go to their dad. You have time for yourself. That's part of moving on. If you're going to be dragging 2, 3, 4 children all around, when are you going to have time for yourself? So what's your advice for this man? Do you think he should go to court then?
Yeah, I think if he's tried every option, go for it. Yeah, definitely go for it. And the thing is, you have every right to see your children. Any parent does. So at the end of the day, yes, go for the courts and get visitation, because there's males, justice for males, is it? Contact them as well. Maybe they can help.
Yeah, and you can contact. I don't know if you live in the UK, but if you do live in the UK, you can contact Citizens Advice Bureau. You can go to NSPCC. I think you can even go to court, and they will maybe refer you to mediation centers for you to see if that will work first. But if you've tried all those options, I would say honestly, please do go to court. And no woman should deprive you of seeing your children. If your children are going to be safe with you, then nobody should deprive you of seeing your children. So I'm going to advise people today, those of you watching, it's so rampant in our community. I don't know about the white community, but in our community, it's so rampant. This man moves on, and the women, in most cases, the women, yes, it's a show for women, but we're talking about relationship and how a woman can move on. If you're holding on to children and using those children against your ex-partner, you cannot move on. Just imagine a man comes to you after a relationship breakdown and you fall in love with another man. And every day you're telling your new boyfriend or partner that, you know what, I'm going to make sure that my ex suffers. He's never going to see his children. Do you think that your new partner is going to be safe with you? No. Because he's going to believe you will do worse to him when he also walks out. So if you're a woman, it's very, very important that you do not deprive the children that fatherly love or motherly love, as the case may be. I will read the last one, then I will honestly want Debbie to share her experience so people know how you got to that stage in life. He says, Ehinor, I am a woman with so much pain. Oh, sorry to hear. My ex-husband gave a false report about me that I am not capable of taking care of my kids. He set me up. Now my kids are with him. What do I do? Oh.
Well, this is a really hard case, because I understand where I can really relate to this question. I feel that maybe you need to seek yourself first, get yourself better, get yourself to a good place, get counselling, get people on side, get help from a social worker, show that you are capable, show that you are actually able to be that parent, but find yourself first. You must be going through so much pain, because I can relate to that fully. And the pain that you go through of losing, it's grief. You go through a grieving process. And I really advise you to seek counselling, seek self-help group, seek something and get yourself back to a confident place. Get your self-esteem back, get your self-worth back, because right now you won't be feeling very good about yourself due to the fact that your ex-husband's got children. But you find yourself back, get good group of friends around you. If anything, seek anything that will help you to get back to you.
Anything that will help you to get back to you. Because, I work with a lot of women. I'm sure you're familiar with that. When most of these women come, and I've realized that a lot of men are smart. Smarter than women. I know men. Thank you, everyone watching. Thank you so much. Somebody say, I find it quite educational. Thank you. Maria says, interesting topic. Thank you so much, everyone watching. Polylime, thank you. Judge Duke, Honors Agre, Oladoke, Oladosun, All of you watching, thank you so much. Please do share your views regarding this topic. If a relationship breaks down and there are children involved, what should that woman do? You know, when women come to us, and it's so heartbreaking to see that a lot of these men are so smart that they already know what they're going to do. Yeah. Some will actually tell the woman, you know, I'm going to deal with you and I'll make sure these children are taken from you. Yeah. And I've seen cases where the man actually records the woman, so he makes the woman angry, and when the woman is reacting, then he starts to record. Yeah. So when they bring out these videos, the police will think that the woman, you know, but I'm so happy with the UK in some way that sometimes they find the truth. Yes. Because when you listen to those videos, you realize that that person is reacting to something. Yes. So what caused that reaction? Yes. So please, you know, I don't know what was going on with relationship. If you love someone and you promise to be with this person, whether in a marriage or as partners, if that relationship doesn't suit you anymore, you do not need to, you know, implicate anybody. You can just simply tell that person it's not working and you move on. Do not set anybody up because you want to make them, you want to ruin their life. Imagine a woman's kids is being taken from her. You know, how do you expect that woman to feel? How do you expect that woman to feel? And you say you love your children. And if, sometimes when you try to do that, you end up not having those kids as well. Yeah. Because the social service now takes the kids. Exactly. So what happens? Yeah. If you love your children and the relationship has broken down, as a man or as a woman, let these children be. If you're a man, you know that the woman honestly is not capable of taking care of the woman. It is a different case. Take care of the kids, but do not deny her of that love that she needs to show to the children. And if you're a woman, the relationship has broken down, and you know that your ex-husband is not abusive, you know that your ex-husband, the children are actually safe with him. Do not withhold those children from him, because those children will grow in anger and they might grow up hating you. Oyo always says, well done, interesting topic, because it's a very tricky one. Very tricky, and we have those cases coming up all the time where once a relationship breaks down, these children just, you know, especially for women, they just stop. They tell the children, don't talk about your dad. I don't want to hear about your dad. I don't know where your dad is. Some even say their dad is dead. Do you know what goes on in that child's mind? And how do you move on when your children start behaving, you know, in a way that you don't like? When they start calling you in school to tell you that they have attitudes, they're getting angry, they're on the street. You know, never deprive your partner of children's love. Ejiro said, I said stranger because some people think by have a child will change the situation and things will get better. No, don't use children. Know your partner before considering having children. All right, thank you so much. True, know your partner, and please, partners, do not hide your true character.
There's a lot that do.
There's a lot that they do. People do hide, and we see women all the time, you know. When you know that you're no longer in a relationship with yourself and you want to move on, the first thing to do is actually allowing those kids to see their dad, if he's not abusive and if the children's life are not at risk. Let them go for weekend. I tell the women, let them go. You start your own life. When they go for weekend, or if it's a shared responsibility, he has to take them to school. Imagine sleeping till 9 a.m. You know, you're doing yourself a favor by actually allowing your partner be part of the children's life. So, Debbie, I want you to, you know, briefly share your story of your DV, domestic violence, and how you got to this stage.
Well, I was with my partner for 16 years, and after a year he showed his true character. By then I was hook, line and sinkered, and I stayed there for 16 years. I finally broke free in 2015, and I had to make myself and 2 kids homeless because I did have my granddaughter with me as well, who I adopted. So basically we were homeless, without a house, living at my son's and daughter-in-law's. Everything was up in the air. The children were out of routine. Everything was out of routine. And I didn't let him see the kids for a couple of months, and then I started letting him see them because they wanted to see him. And I thought, right, okay, you wanted to see the children. Worst mistake, really. And that's not me. This is why I'll tell you my story. He started by really emotionally abusing the children by telling them things. They were acting out. Their behaviour was terrible. And in the end, one night when I dropped the children off, he had my car stolen from outside his flat. And he also got the children to take my phone out of my bag, and because he wanted to see who I was seeing. He had his own flat by this point, so I didn't realise he took my phone until I got back to my son's and realised my phone had gone. By this point, he'd gone through all my messages, and there was I was seeing somebody which I sent photos of, which I'm not happy about, obviously, this day and age, and he showed the children that, so you can imagine them seeing pictures of their mum. That in itself is emotional abuse. So we got him charged and sentenced. He got arrested on the 10th of December. I was put in a refuge. I got my granddaughter back from him because he had the kids. My son, I didn't get back, and it was hard to get him back. He'd already completely poisoned him against me, to the point where he didn't even want to speak to me anymore.
Wow.
And then in February 2016 he was charged and sentenced. He got a year's supervision order. He got a £100 fine, he got 80 hours community service, and I got a 3-year restraining order. When that order was up, which was last year, in July of last year, I just got a note through my door from 2 detectives asking me to phone them. I phoned them up at the night time, but obviously couldn't get through. In the morning I phoned them, and they told me that my son has alleged that I committed incest on him. Once. Yeah, once. I mean, I was beside myself. I was like, are you real?
Wow.
Is this how far?
That's a strong accusation.
Is this how far this goes, you know? And I was like, wow, what's going on here? I went in the next day, 3 hours questioning. I wasn't arrested for it, actually. I went in voluntarily. 3 hour questioning. The statement was disgusting. The wording of my son, it was like an adult. It was disgraceful. And everyone who knows me and knew me with my children know I didn't commit this crime. And for it to be just the once, if I was that way inclined, I would be doing it constantly. I've got 2 older sons. So at the end of the day, if I was that way inclined, I would have done all 3 of them. But this statement was so, I mean, it couldn't even stick because I had evidence. I had really good evidence that it didn't happen. Anyway, after an 8-month-long investigation, so for 8 months I was under this investigation, they came back with me in January with no further action. So I said to the detective on the phone, I said, right, now this is over, should I get in touch with the DV unit? He went, what do you mean this isn't domestic violence?
This is.
Yeah, exactly. He said, I went round to see him last night and gave him the outcome that there's going to be no further action. They seemed calm as anything. I said, yeah, they would be calm as anything because it was a massive, big, elaborate lie. Therefore, this is domestic violence. Do you not understand that? No, it's not. He's not hit you or anything, I said. So the police are still not understanding how big domestic and the umbrella of domestic violence. And this child has been that emotionally abused to come out with somebody who's either really mentally ill, or they coerced it, or my ex coerced him into saying it, whereby he was then trying to get me out of the job, because obviously on my DBS it's essential I have a clean DBS for my job, and he knows that. And he knows that fully. So is this how far his bitterness and anger goes? You know. So in the end, my son's losing out on having any contact with his mum now, because I'm going to be a bit like, oh well, I don't, because I still don't know where my son's at. One thing I asked the detectives was, get my son help. You need to get my son help. And they assured me he was under the children's services, so I'm hoping he is getting that help, because that child is...
if he's being abused and the dad asks him to say whatever, he's going to say it.
Of course he is. He's feared of his dad. He was feared of... I mean, his dad never touched him, but he had this look where he'd be feared of his dad. So he had that fear. He knew how his dad was towards me. And one of the things I always brought him up to be is, you don't treat women like that. You don't do that to women. I was constantly saying it to him. So I was trying to install the values in him. You know, as a parent with my children, he had no input with the children while we was living together. It was only when we left that he wanted to know the children and do things with them. He never did whilst we was in the relationship.
And that is it's so common where you see in a relationship, most men don't care about the child or the children in the home. I've got cases, true life stories, where the man will not care about whether they go to school, whether they buy uniforms, they don't know their teachers, they don't care. But once the relationship breaks down, then they want those children.
Exactly.
Now, Debbie's story is sad because in most cases, when we talk about children, parents using the children against the other ex, we always see women in that picture. We always see that woman holding those children, saying, this man will never see the children. So what am I trying to point out is this. In a relationship, it's not always one-sided. There are a lot of women who are using children against the children's father, and there are also women who are victims as well. So men are also withholding. But in whatever case you find yourself, please be careful what you do to those children. Be very, very careful. I've heard where people lay allegations against men and they say, oh, my daughter's father, was touching her and all that. That is very, very rampant as well. And the man can't do anything. And we believe, because he's a man. We believe. So if you're a woman and you're in that position, saying things that didn't happen, just because you do not want these children to see their dad, or because you do not want the children to see their mom, please, if you love your children, you need to stop that and start to correct those attitudes. Bringing up a child alone is not easy. Bringing up a child alone can even be easier if you're in a domestic abuse relationship, for example, as a woman, and the man never cared. In this country, you see men, they're house husbands, so to say. They don't want to work. They push this woman to go and do what she doesn't want to do, what she doesn't have passion for. A woman who loves maybe A job, and because you believe there is more money in B job, you force that woman, not physically beating her, maybe nagging, you're not sleeping with her, you're not talking to her, and this woman wants peace in her home. What does she do? She takes that job offer that you want her to do. All those things, please, we need to stop. If you're not happy with a relationship, let that person go. Do not use the children against them. Just find a way of helping yourself. So if you're a woman and your relationship has broken down, I want to advise you today to please let your children know. You do not have to tell them every details of what happened depending on their age, because what you don't want is children to start having an emotional breakdown, and it will affect their school as well. But tell them the truth. Don't lie to them. Don't tell them their dad traveled when he did not. Let them know the truth. You'll be amazed that those children even knew what was going on in the home. Let them know that. And as a woman, I want to kind of give you a confidence booster. Let me put it like that. If you are in an abusive relationship, or if you've been in a relationship with yourself, which means you're the one doing everything, like the one we did last week, you pay the bills, you clothe the man is just there maybe for sex, so to say, because that's all he can offer you, and you realize that this is not what you want for yourself. And honestly, that is not what you want for yourself, because I honestly do not believe you should be dating a man who can't go to work. You shouldn't be dating a man who cannot provide for you financially. You shouldn't, honestly. I do not believe in it. A man needs to work. It doesn't matter how much he's been paid, but he needs to go to work. He needs to show that example that he's a provider and he's a protector. So if you have that kind of house husband and you want to move on with your life because it's stressful, don't do anything that you will regret. Don't do anything out of bitterness, because the effect is not always good. when you move on, always remember that as a woman, whether you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children, it doesn't matter. You need to be you. You need to build your self-esteem. You need to honestly tell yourself the truth. Take care of yourself, take care of the children, and find a way of moving on. Never stay in an unhealthy relationship because of children. I have seen many children being broken in a house where there is a father and a mother.
Yeah.
A lot of children. So sometimes most people will say, oh, children from a single parent. Most of those children you see there have already been destroyed in a home.
Yeah.
Before the relationship actually breaks down for the world to see, those children have been destroyed. I've seen a lot of single mothers who have really taken good care of their kids, and their children are doing so well. I've also seen single fathers who are taking good care of the children, and the children are doing very well. So please, if being in a relationship will make your children emotionally destroyed, that relationship is not healthy. It's not healthy. And you do not have to stay with a man for him to be part of the children's life. That man can be outside and still have, that relationship with the children. The most important thing is let your children grow in a healthy home. Let your children grow in a healthy home. Build your children up and make sure that as a woman, be happy with yourself. It doesn't matter. I've seen a woman with 4 children remarry. I've seen a woman with 5 children, 3 children. Just be yourself. Do not stay in an unhealthy relationship. Do not stay in an unhealthy relationship. It's not good for you. It's not good for you at all. So, Debbie, what is your advice for women who are trying to move on? I mean, you have moved on anyway.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, my journey is a bit different than what others would go down, but I was really broken and really at rock bottom, I found Jesus and I found church. So that is a completely different journey. But I also got my church family around me, and without them, oh my gosh, I don't know where I'd be now. I've got a good foundation around me now. I've got the foundation where I'm loved. I'm nurtured. I have people that are there for me when I need them to be.
You're lucky.
I'm very lucky, and I really, ask you. I mean, this is why I want the aim of Devote is for that support groups as well. People can come to Devote who have suffered domestic or are still in that domestic violence relationship. Come to the group once a month. You will get that nurturing, because that's what we aim to do, is nurture and care, and then find you, build up your motivation again and self-esteem. The sessions I have planned is so, because I've done counselling qualifications and everything, them sessions are going to be beneficial to anyone who's at that very low ebb of life. Find you, find what you like about you. Don't hate yourself. Start loving yourself, basically.
Wow, don't hate yourself. Start loving yourself. So do you want to give our viewers some tips? Women who have moved on, children involved, you've settled your kids, they've got contact with their dad, or they do not have contact with their dad because he's abusive, because that should be the only reason, really. So let's assume he's not abusive, so you've already settled that. Maybe they see their dad every weekend, every fortnight, or during the week, whatever arrangement suits the children. You have already made that arrangement, and the man is responsible to pay child support, to take care of the children financially. You've done that. What will be that woman's starting point in trying to be herself, trying to love again? We're going to say that next week. I just want you to, give tips on how should that woman move on?
Well, I mean, I've not moved on yet with anybody else.
Why
not? I'm quite happy being
Beautiful
single.
Woman like you.
I'm happy being single.
I'm going to find you one.
But yeah, I'd say, first of all, before you even enter any relationship, because sometimes you can do a rebound, which isn't good, Give yourself time. Take time out for you. Enjoy being with yourself. Some people are lonely and they can't be at home. I find loads of things to do. I do all sorts. I do a lot of researching. I go to the gym. I take myself out for dinner. I'll go anywhere on my own. I'm quite happy. I don't need an entourage. I really like me now, and I couldn't. When I first left my partner and going through the brokenness, I couldn't even look in the mirror. You know, I was really sort of, my confidence and self-esteem was zero. But love yourself, start loving you, find who you are, find what you like. Because when you're in a partnership, you often forget who you are and you forget what you like.
I said that last week, so and people need to watch last week's show, honestly.
Find you, start loving you first before you can love somebody else.
Wow. That's a wonderful tip. You know, somebody said something last week that I will read out. I'm not going to share everything I said last week. You need to go and watch it, honestly. He says, in a relationship with myself, saying it the opposite, in a positive way, means that she's finding herself, who she is, you know, being in her own space, enjoying herself, taking herself out, you know, meeting friends, enjoy your life. So imagine you want to do that and you're holding on to 3-4 children. How are you gonna do that? Let your ex have those children, and please, even if it's 1 or 2 days, let that day be a day for just you. Because a lot of women are so aggressive and angry now because when they put all this burden on themselves, you're taking care of 1, 2, 3 children. Then the next thing, you pour the anger on those children. You know, they transfer anger. Your dad is the one who left. Your dad is stupid. Your dad. So imagine 4 times in a month, the dad has those children. You can be you. You can enjoy yourself. Go to the cinema. You know, just be you. Find your own space. And never jump into a relationship because you want to be happy. Learn to be happy. Learn to find things that will make you happy. You know, never be that lonely to that point where you feel that. You need to fill that gap immediately. Because a man has left you, then the next thing you need to do is find another man. Don't forget, you are hurting, you're bitter, you're angry, you're vulnerable. So when they see that you're vulnerable, in most cases, they take advantage of you. They will take advantage of you. So I'll advise that. Please, learn to move on. Kids are there, you know, arrange your routine. You have to rearrange your routine. You know, if the dad was the one taking them to school before, you have to just find a way, maybe from a part-time job, a full-time job. You can reduce your hours. A lot of women have done that. You reduce your hours, or if you were working in the day before and there's someone who can stay with them at night, you can decide to do a night shift or something. Thank God in the UK we've got jobs that are so flexible. You know, find a job that will help you manage the situation and be happy with yourself. Next week is going to be another topic. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag like last week. No, I'm not going to let it. I want you to stay tuned next week. So thank you so much, Debbie. Just before we go, if the audience want to reach out to Devote, how do they find you?
We're on Facebook. Devote is on Facebook, and then we can let you know of when the up-and-coming venues are coming forward for the survivor groups as well, only through Facebook and private messaging, obviously for the safety of anybody.
Wow.
And there is a number for Devote as well that you can contact on the Facebook page. On Devote.
So
Facebook.
If you want to know more about Debbie, you want her to come to your events to talk about her life story and encourage other women or the men as well that are going through abuse, you definitely do invite her to speak at your community events. And just before I go, I also want to let you know that Wonderfully Made Woman charity, we have support groups every Tuesday and Thursday. We have one-to-one support for women and girls who are fleeing domestic abuse, or women who've got issues with their confidence building. You can call or send a message via our website, www.wonderfullymadewoman.org. You can also contact us on our Facebook or other social media platform. And on Wednesday, we do have our breakfast club coffee morning awareness session, and of course our dance session that a lot of people know. Friday, every Friday at 11 a.m. Wonderfully Made Woman will be live on Facebook, and you can watch all our previous shows on our YouTube page. Don't forget, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also please do like our Facebook page, Wonderfully Made Woman. It's been a wonderful day. Please, we will be happy if you share your views regarding this topic. Until same time next week, always remember that you are beautiful, you're unique, you are gorgeous as a woman, and most importantly, that you are wonderfully made. Thank you, and see you next week Friday. Bye.